a mega project in which more than 150 countries in the world participated, where new airports, motorways, and seaports were promised to be built, where dreams of the future of Dubai and Singapore were shown. But today, these mega projects seem incomplete and dreams seem broken in these countries. Under the burden of some debts, they present a scene of some ruins. This was China's largest global mega project, which was named Belt and Road Initiative. There was a time when everyone called it the project of the century. But today it is called geopolitical disaster. And its greatest loss was to those poor countries whose beautiful dreams were shown. But what happened that people are pointing fingers at a superpower like China today? Welcome again to Shadowvox Videos. Viewers, in 2013, when China's President Xi Jinping announced the Belt and Road Initiative, it was called the biggest plan of the century. Its purpose was to build a Silk Road, in which Asia, Africa, and Europe could be connected via railway lines, highways, and ports. China's mission was to bring those poor countries on the path of development and present China as a global leader. This vision of China shocked the world. More than 140 countries expressed interest in this plan, and many poor countries immediately started taking loans from China. Soon after, China invested $1.2 trillion in this project. But this money was given to those countries in the form of loans, which Western banks or IMF had refused to lend, considering it dangerous. But soon the reality of the BRI emerged. It was not just an infrastructure project, but a geopolitical and economic agenda of China. In fact, China's industrial capacity had increased so much that millions of engineers were coming to it annually, but it was becoming difficult for them to adjust to jobs in China. That's when China planned to export them and increase its geopolitical power. The plan was that poor countries would be given loans for BRI projects, and their people would be benefited by investing their industrial capacity in those projects. The biggest problem of BRI is debt-trapped diplomacy. That is, China has given so many loans to poor countries that they will never be able to return them. And in return, they will be forced to hand over their land or important infrastructure to China. The biggest example of this is Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan leaders were shown dreams that if they built a new port on the Indian Ocean, they could build a regional trade hub like Dubai. The problem with Sri Lanka was that they already had the Colombo port, but it was a transshipment hub where containers were transferred from large vessels to small ships. China gave Sri Lanka the desire to build a new deep port on the busy shipping route from Malacca State to the Suez Canal, which would be called the Hambantota port. Now, when Sri Lanka decided to take a loan of $1.3 billion from China, China put forward its conditions one by one. The condition was that only Chinese firms would construct this port. There was little interest in loans, but if the loan was not returned, China had the power to seize the project. Anyway, the construction was done, but the Hambantota port could never run. Feasibility studies showed that there was no need for a port here. And the situation was that only 30 to 40 ships stopped over here throughout the year. Now that the port was not running, the payment of the loan also became an issue. It got to the point that in 2017, under an agreement, Sri Lanka had to give the port to a Chinese company for 99 years. Now the entire revenue of that port goes only to China. And Sri Lanka somehow lost a part of its sovereignty. But Sri Lanka was not the only one trapped in this trap. Africa's small country, Zambia, which is only alive on copper exports, is also trapped in this trap. The leaders there dreamed of making the economy modern and started many projects with the help of Chinese loans. They were given this narrative that the conditions of IMF and Western countries' loans are very tough. But They never paid attention to the downside of Chinese loan conditions. Those conditions that said that if the loan was not returned, China would seize their assets. But the price of these dreams was very high. Until 2020, 43% of Zambia's total loans were with China alone. And in November 2020, when trade and tourism ended due to... Now, there is only a 41-kilometer road here that does not go to any destination. So much money was spent on this small section that the entire economy of the country was shaken. You will like and share this video of Shadow Vox. Thank you very much for your love. See you in the next great video.